Australia are clearly under pressure in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Their bowling lacked potency in the thrashing that they suffered at the hands of India in the opening test at the Optus Stadium in Perth, while their batting did not click at all. And it wasn't just restricted to the opening test when their batting did not really, click as a unit, but then it has been the case with them in the past few test matches or so. And that's where Mitchell Johnson now has suggested a couple of changes in Australia's 11 for the Adelaide Test, which is going to be a pink ball test of the 5-match series that begins on December 6th. And he feels that a certain key batter must be dropped. Well, Mitchell Johnson has said that Australia's number 3 Marnus Labuschagne should be axed from the side for the second day and night test against India at the iconic Adelaide. Mitchell Johnson said that after a lengthy poor run with the bat for Marnus, he should be replaced, and that's not for the sake of having someone pay the price for the Perth thrashing. And that's where Mitchell Johnson feels that, Marnus's recent form hasn't been really up to the mark, and that's why he should be left out from the side, which might just prove to be a boon for him and for Australia, knowing that if he has some time off the field, or maybe he can go back to playing Sheffield Shield cricket there, and that's where I think it might just benefit him. Johnson also said that dropping Marnus Labuschagne would not mean that he doesn't still have a long future as Australia's number 3. In this form slump, Aussies need him to be better, and that's where it's all about the fact that he should go back to playing domestic cricket, which is going to be the Sheffield Shield cricket, the red ball tournament for Australia's domestic season. And who knows, that it might just go on to be a prosperful tournament for Marnus Labuschagne if he has to make a comeback for Australia, assuming that he's dropped for the Adelaide Test. But if we just talk about Marnus's recent form, has it really been that bad? Well, I dug out some numbers, and here is what I really found, that Marnus has just 2 test hundreds since December 2022. Like, one of those hundreds came against West Indies. That was way back in December 2022, and the most recent one, or the previous one, came against England in the Ashes 2023 at Old Trafford, Manchester, where his 111 made sure that Australia saved that match, and obviously rain was also a big factor. And secondly, he has only 123 runs in the last 10 test innings, with just maybe 150 or so. And that's where Mitchell Johnson is probably right when he says that Marnus Labuschagne would be benefited if he has some time from the field or from cricketing action. Well, Mitchell Johnson also had his say on Steve Smith's form. He said that Smith's form is a serious concern. He looks like he has lost his sharpness. We are used to missing balls on his pads that in the past were easy runs. And if we specifically talk about how Smith was dismissed against Jasprit Bumrah, India's stand-in captain in Perth, it was primarily a swinging delivery from Bumrah. Smith moved across. He probably thought that he would flick it towards deep square leg, but then there wasn't really sharpness from his hands or from his arms there, that did not really make sure that there was no contact by his bat for the ball there, and that's why he was dismissed. So maybe Smith also needs to make those technical adjustments, because once you cross that age of 33, 34, 35, that's where the reflexes usually tend to get slow, and maybe that's in a way harming Smith. But as in case of Marnus, his most recent form has been pretty underwhelming. Is that the case with Smith also? Well, his numbers also suggest the same, that he only has an average of 25.55 in the previous 6 tests in 2024 for that matter. And its most recent test 100, it came in 2023. That was the Ashes 2023, wherein he scored 100 odd in the Lord's Test. Now, Johnson is probably right when he makes those comments about Smith and Marnus. Now, if we go back to the India versus New Zealand series that took place before the Border Gavaskar Trophy, there were a lot of question marks about India's batting, whether they would be able to handle the seam or the spin of the likes of Nathan Lyon, or maybe in case of Pat Cummins, Josh Hazlewood, would Indian batters really step up to the plate? Now, Indian batters have done exactly that. Now, there was not much talk about Australia's batting in the Indian media, but then going by the recent form or the recent stats of both Marnus and Smith, it does look like that Australia's batting is equally fragile. Now, it will all boil down to the fact that as to who basically gets to the 350 mark first in the remaining test matches, because bowlers are usually going to get you those 20 wickets or so from both the sides, but it's going to be the batting that clicks as a unit that might just go on to win the Border Gavaskar Trophy for either India or Australia. What do you think about Mitchell Johnson's comments on Marnus Labuschagne and Steve Smith, and who do you think can win the Border Gavaskar Trophy this time around? You can let us know your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today for all the exciting updates and analysis from the sporting world. Until then, on behalf of my producer Shashwat, it's Siddharth Gulati saying goodbye.